Hello, welcome to News Now on TV360. I am Fidelia Aguncha. We begin with the latest on security situation in Plateau State as the Inspector General of Police Ibrahim Idris has now ordered the deployment of special forces to the North Central State. The order comes after 86 persons were confirmed dead following attacks in Birkin-Ladi local government area in the state. The Miyetti Allah group has condemned the attack but also noted that it may be an act of retaliation after 300 cows were killed by some villagers. To avoid further attacks, the IGP has now deployed special teams comprising of Intelligence Response Unit, the Special Tactical Squad, 5 armored personnel carriers and 3 police mobile force units to the troubled states. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Air Force has also deployed a combat helicopter and an intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance aircraft to Plateau State in support of efforts to address the recent violence. Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has now reacted to the attacks in Plateau State. The president in a statement on Monday blamed the continued attacks across the country on unnamed politicians who he says are taking advantage of the current situation in the country. Buhari said some, quote, desperate people have continued to pursue their quest for instability and chaos, which they hoped would give them an advantage in the coming elections. The president also warned against reprisal attacks. To the northeast now, where the army has announced significant progress in the war against terrorist sect Boko Haram. The army says its troops have arrested 2 suspected Boko Haram fuel suppliers in Gombe State. The arrests were disclosed in a statement signed by Army spokesperson Brigadier General Texas Jude Chukwu. Chukwu in a statement said the suspects Mohammed Adamu Zika, a driver, and Bukar Adamu Haji, assistant station manager in one of the fuel stations in Gombe State, were arrested in Nafada, Gombe State. He noted that another suspect is at large while the 2 arrested suspects are currently undergoing interrogation and will be handed over to appropriate authority for prosecution. Moving on to Abuja now, where a federal high court have granted bail to the co-defendants of the missing leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu. Justice Binta Nyako had earlier on February 20, 2018, ordered the separation of Kanu's trial from that of the rest of his co-defendants as the IPOB leader's absence from court continued to hold progress in the case. The co-defendants, who now face 3 counts of treasonable felony, are Brad Chimezie, National Coordinator of IPOB, Chidebere Onwudiwe, an IPOB member, Benjamin Madubugu, and David Nwabuisi. Each of the defendants were granted bail to the tune of 10 million naira and ordered to produce 2 sureties in like sum. To Lagos now, the State Police Command has placed a 1 million naira bounty on a masked woman who accused an officer of living beyond his means with a worth of over 2 billion naira in cash and assets. This was disclosed by the command spokesperson Chike Oti in a statement. The spokesman said anyone with useful information that will lead to the arrest of the hooded lady will be rewarded with 1 million naira after she suggested that a certain Christopher Marcel Nabugu, a police inspector, was living off illicit funds in a video that went viral on the internet. She also accused the police inspector of owning a lavish property worth 250 million naira, as well as exotic cars with a customized license plate number titled MCON. The allegation drew the attention of police authorities, who dismissed the claims after investigations. To politics now, leaders of the All Progressives Congress have charged the new national chairman of the party, Adams Oshomole, to ensure fairness and equity. The leaders gave the charge at the swearing-in of Oshomole as a new leader of the party. They say the successful conduct of the Congress shows the party is ready to maintain power in the 2019 elections.
I. Name. Adams Ali Oshomole.
After this exercise administered by the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, other elected party members took turns to take their oath of office. President Muhammadu Buhari at the event advised winners to carry other members along as the party plans to build a strong fortress ahead of 2019 elections. Both the president and his vice expressed confidence that the country is on the path to greatness.
Let the victors be humble in victory, and let those who didn't win be also gallant and gracious in defeat, and continue to keep faith with the party. We are members of one party, and it's not about winners take all. Rather, the purpose is to build a ruling party to run the country to the best of our ability.
We've worked hard in the past 3 years, despite these challenging circumstances that we inherited and the absolute blight of the last 5 years, to resolve the issues in these areas. And now, on every front, the light is surely appearing at the end of the tunnel. We spent, for the first time again in the history of our country, 1.3 trillion on capital expenditure in 2017. That is the largest in the history of our country. So now we are doing the major infrastructure projects long abandoned by previous governments. Lagos-Kano Rail, the second Niger Bridge, the East-West Road, the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, the Mambila Hydro Project. All of these had been abandoned for years and years and years.
Then it was time for party leaders to express their minds on the convention, the challenges within the party, and the way forward.
Regardless of our legacy parties, we have come voluntarily to dissolve those parties to form the All Progressive Congress. As things stand now, we have no any other party other than APC. We must all remain in it and rebuild it, reform it, strengthen it, so that it can provide comfort to all of its members and all of its leaders.
As we look to the future, we must ask ourselves, how have we been successful so far? How are we able to win an election against all sorts of opposition? We did it because we were courageous. We did it because we had leadership led by the president. We did it because we came together united with a focus and a direction. We did it because we had sacrifices. We worked as a team and we put it together and we delivered.
One issue that I want to dwell on is the issue of justice, which we know that Mr. President stands on that. And he stands for the common man, and his strength has been the common man. It is therefore very important that the leadership of the newly elected executives create opportunities, equal opportunities for the weak and the strong.
I remember one uncle back door who had been a general himself and who had been elected president. I call him election rigger. Let's compare the two of you. The man has the temerity to write a letter, go to the post office. We say, no, we are not using the post office like that anymore. We are now using email. Your letter is not delivered. You are analog. If he has the temerity to say Buhari must not run again, in which party? Thank God he's not a member of our party. We hold our future in our hand. What is your business, busybody?
Oshiomhole will replace former chairman John Oyegun and will serve until July 2022. The federal government has announced plans to start a voluntary scheme to recover funds stolen from Nigeria. Abubakar Malami, Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, made the disclosure to NAN on the sideline of a meeting held at the Nigerian Embassy in Bern, Switzerland. This comes ahead of the expiration of the Voluntary Asset and Income Declaration Scheme (VATS), which was extended to June 30 by President Muhammadu Buhari. Malami said the federal government would partner foreign consultants and legal experts to recover the funds not yet identified in ongoing investigations starting with Switzerland. Up next is business, news and business with Esther Vasey, coming up right after this break.
People to get only 10 people to register to vote, 10 new voters. Each of us standing here today, when you get back home, when you get to your place of work, your school, try and get 10 new people that do not have their PVC to register to vote. We're going to take on our website onevoice.ng, onevoice.ng. Please go there, give us the information. If you get 10 people to vote, then you're amongst us.
So at least start with your voter's card and begin to use that to bargain about the type of person you want to see on February 16, 2019 and March 2nd on the ballot paper.
So we want to focus on people who haven't voted before. It's 100,000 people who are looking to pledge that because that gives us a minimum of 1 million new voters.
Instead of to say, my vote no go count now, try vote first, maybe you see whether it will count, you know.
Welcome to Business News. I am Esther Vasey. Nigeria has now taken over as the nation with the highest number of extremely poor people, and this is according to a report published by Washington-based Brookings Institution. The report says Nigeria had about 87 million people in extreme poverty, compared with India's 73 million. It notes that extreme poverty in Nigeria is growing by 6 people every minute. The report comes at a time the country's government has expressed its approval of the current GDP and inflation figures. GDP is currently at 1.92% and inflation at 11.61%. The total monetary loss of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) for the year 2015, 2016 and 2017 is 547 billion naira, and this is according to the latest review of the oil firm's financial and operations report in the period. Now, according to the review, which was carried out by the Nigeria Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative (NATI), the refineries posted a cumulative performance of 12.26% during the 3-year period. Now, on refineries and domestic crude utilization, NATI stated that for the 3 years under review, the facilities recorded an average capacity utilization of 12.26%. Now to the global oil market. Oil prices fell on Monday as traders factored in an expected 1 million barrels per day output increase in the wake of an Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries OPEC meeting in Vienna last week. Brent crude futures were at $74.25 a barrel, while U.S. crude futures were at $68.42 a barrel. Prices initially jumped after an OPEC deal to increase output, which was announced late last week, as it was not seen boosting supply by as much as some had expected. OPEC and non-OPEC partners, including Russia, have since 2017 cut output by 1.8 million barrels per day to tighten the markets and prop up prices. Kicking off the week's market on a positive note, following the NSE's Saturday announcement of a review in its market structure, which would take effect on the 2nd of July, the equities market closed today's trading recording a 0.34% rise in the all share index, with the market capitalization closing at 13.762 trillion naira. A total of 207.402 million shares were transacted at 3.424 billion naira in 3,822 deals. The top traders chart was dominated by UBA, turning in over 459 million naira worth of shares, followed by Honeywell Flour Mill with over 34 million naira, Zenith Bank with over 418 million naira, and First Bank of Nigeria Holdings with over 133 million naira worth of shares traded. Meanwhile, the laggards in today's market session were led by Seplat, closing at 650 naira 8 copper per share price, followed by Nestle at 1,490 naira, Cap PLC at 35 naira, and Lafarge Africa PLC closing at 38 naira 1 copper per share price. On the flip side, gaining the most ahead of 21 others were Dangote Cement, Cement Company of Northern Nigeria, Guarantee Trust Bank, and Stanbic IBTC, closing at 230 naira, 25 naira 95 kobo, 41 naira 5 kobo, and 49 naira respectively. And that's business news. Coming up next, international and sports. Stay with us.
Corruption not in my country.
So, now, straight to business. Now, that case between State versus Femi Wole.
Femi Wole?
Yes.
Is he your son?
That's my heir apparent.
Did he actually kill the wife?
His juvenile delinquency, they must have taken some few bottles.
A man of 40. Juvenile delinquent?
Now, what do we do? I don't want him to go to jail.
We are very good friends. But for this, I cannot help you.
You know I was so nice to you in school. I took care of you.
I'll politely leave.
No, you can't leave. How much do you want me to pay?
Wale, this is not about money. It's about the law. Bribing a judge to subvert the cause of justice is corruption. Not in my country.
Corruption not in my country.
Stop corruption now.
Glad to have you back. One of the 49 people injured by an explosion at an election campaign rally addressed by Zimbabwe's President Emmerson Mnangagwa on Saturday has died of his wounds. State media reports the victim was a member of the Presidential Guard. President Mnangagwa narrowly escaped injury in the attack in Bulawayo City, which he described as an attempt on his life. He, however, says election will go ahead as planned on 30th of July. The rally was Mnangagwa's first in Bulawayo, an opposition stronghold in the country. In Ethiopia, FBI investigators have arrived in the East African country to help with the inquiry into last Saturday's attack on a huge political rally in the capital, Addis Ababa. The deadly explosion occurred just after Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed had finished addressing the rally in Addis Ababa, which was called to show support for the reforms he has introduced since taking office in April. A total of 28 suspects have now been arrested. On to sports now. Uruguay finished on top of Group A after an emphatic 3-0 victory over Russia in their dead rubber match on Monday. Goals from Luis Suarez, Edison Cavani, and an own goal from Denis Cheryshev ensured the hosts finished second in the group. Uruguay will face the runners-up of Group B, while Russia will face the winners of Group B. Spain, Portugal, and Iran are battling for the top 2 places in that group. Meanwhile, in the other match, Egypt remains winless in World Cup history after a 2-1 defeat to Saudi Arabia. Gernot Rohr remains positive John Mikel Obi will play against Argentina, despite confirming the Tianjin-Teda midfielder suffered a fractured metacarpal against Iceland. Despite the hurt, the German tactician feels the Super Eagles captain can play a part against the Argentines on Tuesday evening. Mikel was hurt in the 2-0 victory at Volgograd Arena and played the latter part of the make-or-drop clash in pains. Wayne Rooney is set to complete his move to DC United in the MLS on Monday evening, according to media reports. The 32-year-old finished last season as Everton's leading scorer with 11 goals, but has opted to move to Washington despite new manager Marco Silva's apparent desire to keep the former England captain. Rooney has been granted a work permit and a visa and is set to make his debut against the Vancouver Whitecaps on July 14, when DC United opened the new 20,000-seat Audi Field Stadium. Well, that's been news now on TV360. Do log on to our website at www.tv360nigeria.com to get news updates and watch more of our programs. Also log on to our social media accounts being displayed on your screen right now to watch us live and get news updates as well. Thank you so much for watching. I am Fidelia Aguncha. Bye for now.